Hello and welcome to a new season of Cosmic Commentary's Real Football, where we find the interesting parts of football so you don't have to. A quick five on tennis and AFL before we get to players breaking protocols, Roy Keane being Roy Keane, some interesting transfers, including the conclusion of the Messi saga, before we finally do a preview of the season, who's going to finish in the top six, who's going to get relegated, all that and more. The first episode of Season 2, hope you enjoy, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And here we are joined on this fine evening by Craig. Welcome back, Craig.
So, no, thanks very much. Good to be back.
And of course, Cos. We're here. We're at the start of a new season of Cosmic Commentary. Season 2, looking at the new season of the Premier League and taking a sneak peek at all the other big clubs. But before we get into that, we've started a tradition, Craig, of going through other sports that aren't necessarily football related, just to remind ourselves that there are other sports that do exist. Sometimes we forget, we just get so obsessed with football, sometimes obsessed with the Premier League even.
Mike, football is the best sport in the world. Let's be real here. Yeah,
it is.
Well, you might not say that if you've been watching some of the England in the recent Nations League.
That was.
You might think football's the worst sport in the world.
We will get to that. We'll definitely mention that one because I have a few words to say. But we'll start with, for a change, we normally have been going to AFL lately, but tennis, in the tennis world now. This is a quick one. The tennis, like the major tournaments, the first major tournament being played since the coronavirus outbreak and the lockdowns all around the world, the US Open, in which the two of the three just absolute beasts of the game, the Messis and Ronaldos of tennis, Federer and Nadal were not playing, and it was just Djokovic who looked set to basically cruise to the title, to the US Open. And unfortunately, he let his frustration get the better of him and hit the ball into one of the line judges, and it hit her in the throat. Now, tennis is sort of one of the last sports that has maintained sort of the gentleman's code. Cricket's sort of gone, in a certain direction, but tennis seems to be is the only sport where, other than golf, where people have to actually be quiet when people are playing. Like, can you imagine a football stadium?
It is a sport.
It has to be silent while they're kicking the ball.
My experience with tennis is that it is a gentleman's sport, and I just much rather prefer watching it on TV. I've been to tennis once, and I just could not stand the fact that we had to be quiet, and you cannot, if you are going for a particular player, you cannot boo the other player. You have to respect them, even if they win. You have to cheer like, "Oh, it's all great. I love you just as much as the guy I was going for." Well, it was just so foreign to me. But yeah, that's what I think of tennis. But anyway,
I've only just gone into it.
Novak Djokovic, as you said, he booted the ball. He booted the ball at the lines.
He hit it with his racket.
Yeah, that's more correct.
It's the same thing, right?
I'm still in football mode. It wasn't done deliberately, I must say. He just sort of hit it in that direction, and it just happened to hit it. He wasn't looking where he was hitting it. But I do agree with them actually kicking him out, because the rules are.
Well, that was the rules.
The rules are the rules, and if they didn't kick him out, and then a lowly ranked player did the same thing, and then they kick him out, then there's sort of a lack of integrity there. So I'm glad the rules were followed in that regard. And Djokovic himself is pretty apologetic as well. So, but
he's pretty okay with it.
Yeah, So that's about it.
But I agree that it wasn't. He obviously didn't set out to deliberately hurt the lineswoman, but I can't help feeling that he got like sort of banned from this tournament is a little bit of karma for when he organised that tournament earlier in the pandemic,
the coup d'etat,
and then went out partying and got the coronavirus and the various other people attendees. So yeah, anyway,
I think he actually did it in the reverse order. Craig, he got coronavirus and then went and partied. That was the issue.
And then went and partied and infected other people. But yeah, so I think Djokovic, he's a bit of a I think he's slightly narcissistic and a bit full of himself. So I wouldn't. I'm not going to say he meant it deliberately but there was definitely frustration when he hit that ball.
No,
I mean he pleaded his case, but but he took it on the chin eventually. He accepted it. He didn't complain that it was unfair or anything like that. He wanted to keep going, but rules were the rules. But now the interesting thing about that is that it's going to now produce the first new Grand Slam title winner since 6 years ago when I think it was Cilic won the US Open. So bit of a change, one of the heavyweights, so someone other than one of the heavyweights, because yes, seriously, Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer have just been so dominant in the last how long? I don't know. It's like 10 years or something, more than 10 years. It's just insane. It's a bit like Messi and Ronaldo, except there's three of them, and look, I don't count Neymar as anything anywhere near those two, but there's three, and they're just it's just and it's a single sport, so there's no team accolades. It's just dominant. Anyway, footy cos. There was one quick AFL story. We had to say, and again, Richmond.
Look, it does concern the Richmond Football Club. This club cannot catch a break, I must say. So basically, the Richmond players are at it again. All right, so these two players, they're named Sydney Stack and Callum Coleman-Jones. Right now, after a club-sanctioned event because we know that they're in the hubs at the Gold Coast because of the coronavirus. They got to, stay together and room together and all that sort of thing. So they started drinking at this club-sanctioned event. They kept drinking after, and then they decided to go outside of the hub. And where did they go? They went to the Gold Coast Strip Club. Then after they spent some time at the strip club, they went to have a late-night kebab. You know how it gets when you these late-night kebabs. Then a person just walking by decided to get into a fight with one of the players. And the players, not thinking straight, decided to engage in the fight, which made things even worse. So, both of those players have been suspended for 10 matches and been sent back home to Melbourne, and the club got fined $75,000. And
are they good players, Cos? Are Richmond going to miss them?
Sydney Stack's not a bad player. He's okay.
He's young, up and coming.
Up and coming player. Callum Coleman-Jones is sort of like a project player, so it's not going to really affect Richmond too much. If they.
Okay.
But my friend Frenchie, he's at it again. He's been featuring a lot on this podcast. He had this to say about the situation. He said that the AFL, as in the governing body of the league, the AFL did not consider that these players in the hubs would get horny. I mean, why else are they going to strip clubs? And that's a fair point. No, this man thinks of things that no one else considers. And obviously these two players were getting horny, so they went to the strip club. And that's about it.
Well, that actually draws parallel to a story that happened in England.
Yeah.
Actually, was it in England, Craig, or I think it was actually also in the hub, but it was the England squad either way. Two of the young kids.
Yes.
Phil Foden from Manchester City and Mason Greenwood from Manchester United. So, they're not necessarily Manchester boys. Greenwood, I think, is an academy product, but Foden is Foden an academy product, Craig? He might actually.
Yeah,
be.
No, I think he. Yeah, Foden has been. I'm pretty sure he's come through the Man City academy, and that's been part of the issue that because he hasn't been getting that much game time under under Pep Guardiola, people have been saying whether he should go out on loan, etc., etc. But no. So I think he's come through the system, and it's just sorry, I just had a little sound issue there. My headphones fell out.
Oh, good.
But yes, they've taken the similar vein as the Richmond guys. The out, stuck in the hotel room, got a bit bored, and somehow they've managed to smuggle in a couple of pretty girls, got rumbles and got kicked out the squad.
Well, so he's. I'm telling you, my friend's right. No one thinks like him, and he's not wrong.
Especially the young kids too. Yeah. They're not getting their they're not dealing with their testosterone levels and other hormones. But,
well, they need the release. That's how it is.
So they got was it a match system? What was the punishment, Craig?
I'm not exactly what in terms of fines, etc. But
they didn't play. That's for sure.
They didn't play, and it just sort of comes at a bad time after the Harry Maguire getting arrested.
The Mykonos incident.
Yeah. So it's sort of it's not a great time for the England players being well behaved, and particularly as Harry Maguire he's like the captain of Manchester United, so he's supposed to have a bit of be sensible,
be an example or something.
Exactly, but instead he's out having fights with police officers, or allegedly so in Greece.
Yeah, I mean that was an interesting one that we talked about last week. But I think there was talk of getting the kids Foden and Greenwood to apologise and something to be ashamed of themselves, or they've let the team down. But I think all in all, a learning curve for the two of them, and I'm sure they'll be better for it in the future. Not to pull stunts like that, but just timing, context. There's a time and place. There is a time. Yes, your friend is definitely right there, because they're not dealing with this issue. And it's clearly coming out now in leaps and bounds. But that does take us to the Nations League. Now, England played. Did they play 2 games now, or has it just been 1?
Yeah, no, we know it was 2. We had 2 thrillers. The first one was against Finland, and then this morning against Denmark.
This morning? No, the first one was against Iceland.
Finland, Iceland. Yes, I was in the same.
Finland, I think. Northern Ireland played them.
It was Iceland.
Pookie.
Yes, so we England. I think it was in 2000. I was living in London at the time. I think it was 2016, and we had it was an incredibly embarrassing defeat. Where it was one of them games where we were expected to walk it, and then were beaten by,
except for Cos saw through it.
Mate, we were in a Craig, we were in a tipping competition.
We had a tipping competition
with how many people? 20 people, something like that. I was the only one to pick Iceland.
I was tempted, but I just thought I was on a good run. I'm like, I can't risk losing points now, and I had a terrible that Euros. I had a really good group stage run, but then after the group stages, Cos just took over. And he was getting.
I played it like an Italian, Mike. I started slow and finished strong. That's how I did it.
In that game it was after I remember after watching that game, I said, right, I'm not going to waste my time anymore watching England. I said, I'm just not watching any, because it's just constant disappointment.
And then they made the semi-finals of the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly right. But
it's like Richmond.
But true to form, Reece. The other day we played Iceland. It was absolutely appalling game, and we ended up fluking it 1-0 through a penalty.
A very dodgy and completely undeserved penalty, I have to say. For England.
And exactly right. And then Iceland got a penalty last minute, and he blazed it over, and that was the end of the game. So it was.
But that wasn't the end of the story, though, Craig, because what was his name? Is it Ward Prowse or something like that?
Oh yeah, the Southampton guy.
So Roy Keane, and there's another thing on Roy Keane as well to follow this up. He accused him of cheating because he basically put his foot down on the penalty spot and looked like he was scuffing up the penalty spot just before the spot kick was taken, which ended up being skied over the goals over the crossbar. I mean, arguably, like, he did that. Apparently, he responded by saying that he was only looking for to waste time, basically, something that he learned under Hassan Hutel at Southampton. The darker arts of football, to just try and get the players ready for the penalty. I don't know what he means by that, because it's basically the last kick of the game, but it does help break up the momentum sometimes when you just like stall the penalty. The longer it takes to take the penalty, some players, and it worked. They missed, and England did get the win. But actually, Cos, do you have that other Roy Keane quote underhand?
I do have a few Roy Keane quotes here.
a recent story from Roy Keane. Yeah. We take a short interlude from the Nations League.
Well, there was an article that came out.
Graphic language, I have to say,
pretty graphic.
coming up.
These are the examples that he would say, because he said there was this young 19-year-old player, and he goes, "Look, I don't think you're going to make it in the game. I don't see you being consistent enough. You're probably back in London next year doing drive-by shootings with your friends." And then he goes, "One week I look at you and you're controlling the game. The next week I can't find you on the pitch. But it's okay because I don't blame you. I blame your parents for the way they brought you up."
It's brutal from Roy Keane, and somewhat insensitive, and potentially, just a different time, Cos, maybe a different time, or it was not that long ago. I don't know.
It doesn't feel that long ago, but I guess it is. I mean, there are a new generation after us now.
Well, so, I guess I'm thinking of when Roy Keane was brought up, so that is longer ago.
It is longer ago, yeah, and it's just it's just different because these players today, they're not used to it, having that sort of feedback just straight to them like that. So
and I think, to be fair, the player that he said that to took it quite well. I don't think they were. Yeah,
and that's the thing. The guy in the article that was telling the story pretty much said that he wasn't yelling, he wasn't like abusing, he was just cold, calm, and collected in the way he delivered it.
Yeah, it was very. Any thoughts on that one, Craig? I'm sure you missed that story.
Yeah, well, I didn't hear that Roy Keane doing that particular quote. I missed that one, but I just know that because Roy Keane's one of the main commentators. I think he's on Sky Sports. It's like the equivalent of Optus back in England, and he's got I just know that he's got a real thing against David De Gea and Harry Maguire, and usually constantly. If you looked on YouTube, there's numerous rants. It's like at half time where he's absolutely laying into them and saying they're like a disgrace to the club and how are they playing for Manchester United. It's very humorous. He's a funny guy.
It's funny, but he doesn't mean to be funny. He's just so straight to it that comes off as.
I think he is, and he just makes everyone like. I think one of the other commentators is a guy called Micah Richards, who used to play Man City, and he's got a really funny laugh. And as soon as you just see them, as soon as Roy Keane starts talking, they'll all be like creased over laughing because they just know that he's going to go like on some verbal rampage and just tear some.
Rampage is a great word, by the way. That's a fantastic word. All right. Just to wrap up the Nations League. I mean, any results in particular? But I mean, there's the Ronaldo achievement which was I think yesterday it was achieved. Or this morning rather, he's the first European player to score 100 goals for his country. That includes friendlies.
That's incredible.
17 goals of those are friendlies, but 100 goals for Ronaldo, and that puts him in second place of all-time scorers behind some guy from Iran. Right, I thought it was going to be someone from South America, but it turns out someone from Iran.
Oh, yeah, I remember. I was reading a story. I forgot his name, but I was reading a story about this man.
He's 9 goals ahead of Ronaldo now.
Yeah.
With his brace against... I forgot who Portugal played this morning, but I really should have...
I don't remember myself.
But congrats to Cristiano Ronaldo. To some people, he is the GOAT. To others, it's Messi. I don't think that'll ever get sorted out.
And to me, it's Zidane. But keep going.
Yeah, Zidane, Zizou, not Del Piero.
No, look, no, come on.
Maldini, Buffon.
I love those players, Mike.
Matty Longstaff.
Oh, Matty
Longstaff. As dad's man of the match of every game of every day of the week. All right. In that case, moving on to transfers, because just to sort of set the tone a bit about what's going on in the rest of Europe. Kamil Glik from Monaco to Benevento, so he's going from France to Italy. I'm really interested in that because he's Polish. Pepe Reina was on loan at Villa, but he's not going to stay there. He was still Milan. He's gone to Lazio, so another Liverpool player going to Lazio.
Yeah, and back in the Champions League as well.
And back in the Champions, leaving AC Milan, go to Lazio to play in the Champions League.
That's funny, isn't it?
That would hurt Milan. That's got to hurt. Ivan Rakitic. Now here's where it starts to get interesting. And we'll actually get to that in a second because we'll just go to that. Rakitic from Barcelona has gone to Sevilla. That's part of the exodus from Barcelona. So Rakitic and the other big name really is Luis Suarez.
Yes.
Is he official? Going to Juventus?
It's not official yet, but apparently all they've got to do is just agree on personal terms and all these other little nitty gritties to get the transfer done. But it's looking pretty likely that it's going to happen, and which is pretty exciting. I got to say. I mean, in the short term, it's exciting. Long term, I'm very skeptical about how this is going to look. But Juventus,
but I have to say, of all players that they could have got, like big name players, he's probably the best one to get.
Yeah, right now, definitely. And in terms of the front three, they're going to have Ronaldo, Suarez, and Paulo Dybala. So that's a pretty formidable front three that they're going to have. And it's going to...
I wonder what the formation will be. But
well, you've got to have three at the front. I don't care what the rest are doing. But
sort it out between yourselves.
I just want to see those three. But the funny thing about this potential transfer is that Suarez at the 2014 World Cup now. Yeah, that's right, the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. He was the one that beat Giorgio Chiellini who is still at Juventus. And a lot of people that I spoke to in the lead up to this transfer were concerned that it could be very awkward for the team and sort of disrupt team morale and awkward conversations in the dressing room. But Chiellini's come out and said this. He goes, "I admire his cunning. If he lost it..."
Well, wait, hold on. Yeah. Let me just give a little more context, because he didn't come out and say this after the signing was made. He had an autobiography, didn't he?
I believe it was. So this was This was.
Yeah, so he said this a while back, well before Suarez was ever meant to come to Juventus. So he's not. Yeah, he's not sort of saying this.
Yeah, sorry. I should have said this is new.
Just so no one thinks that because the players are always going to come out and say like, oh no, he's the best player and blah blah blah, etc etc. Someone made a fake quote that Suarez said that I've always thought that Ronaldo was the best player. When you go to Barcelona, they force you to say it's Messi, but now I can say it's really Ronaldo. Something stupid like that. Yeah. But anyway, so in his autobiography,
this is what he said, and I quote: "I admire his cunning. If he lost it, he'd be an ordinary forward. Malice is part of football. I wouldn't call it illegitimate. To get past a rival, you have to be smart. Suddenly, I noticed that I had been bitten in the shoulder. It just happened. But that's his strategy in hand-to-hand combat. And if I may say so, it's mine too. He and I are alike. And I like to take on attackers like him.
There you go. So he loved him before he even got there.
How much of an Italian is that? Is that quite... Malice is part of
He
football.
might have been the guy who insisted on having Suarez at the club.
My favourite part is to get past the rival, you have to be smart. How Italian is that?
And it's funny with the bite victims of Suarez, because when he was at Liverpool and he bit I think it was Ivanovic.
Yeah.
After Ivanovic was insisting, look, I don't look, I'm fine, this isn't an issue,
It's weird, but
whatever.
It's weird, but
and everyone else is like, oh no, you can't do that, and Chiellini's done the same thing. He's just gone, that's how he rolls. That's how he rolls. Let's do this.
Chiellini's done a lot more than that. He's fallen in love with it. That's what Chiellini's done.
Yeah, true. He's probably the one who got him signed at Juventus, but
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so big moves there. Not so much the Rakitic to Sevilla, but Sevilla is in the Champions League this season. It's more about Barcelona sending players off, and Koeman has apparently given Coutinho the pass. That he's opened the door, he's rolled out the red carpet for, and he wants him to stay.
Right.
Yes. And so Coutinho will be staying, and we've already talked about Messi and how he did his U-turn, and he will be staying as well.
Yeah, and, he will be staying, but he's not staying quietly, I must say.
He doesn't want to be there.
He made that pretty clear. He did an interview earlier in the week with Goal.com, and he's basically, in that interview, he said that he's been telling them all year that he wanted to go, and that the president has also been saying that, yes, you can go at the end of the year, and we'll talk about it, in time. But what Messi realises is that whenever Messi brought it up to the club, to the president would always deflect. He'd basically say, oh, we'll talk about it next week, or we'll talk about it next month, or we'll talk about it towards the end of the season. So Messi began to realise himself that this was never going to be spoken about, and that's pretty much why he faxed them the information, the transfer request that he wanted to leave, because he kept realising that this was never going to be discussed.
In this interview, he mentioned the fact that the contract was meant to end or rather the clause that allowed him to leave was meant to end in June 10. But he kept mentioning that we were in the middle of a season. I was trying to get this club out of this bloody mess, basically. And I think he said it 2 or 3 times. But we were playing, we were in the middle of the season. It was meant to finish then, but we were playing at the end of the season.
And that's the thing. So, at that point,
I was very annoyed at that.
On June 10, at that point, it's not appropriate to really discuss these things anyway. So I would have thought, in good faith, they would have granted Messi his wish, because he had been saying all year that he wanted to leave. So, yeah, I just it's a bit poor on Barcelona's part to let this happen, especially after what Messi's how long Messi's been there and what he's done for the club. So
yeah, well, the president's just looking cover for the 8-2 defeat in the Champions League. Still remember that. We're not going to forget that. Don't worry, mate.
That's living long in the memory. That one.
Long in the memory. As well as the 3-0 in Rome and the 4-0 at Anfield.
That was a 4-1 actually in Rome.
4-1? No, it was...
No, sorry. No, it was 3-0.
No, it was 3-0. It was 4-1 in Barcelona at the Camp Nou.
I stuffed that up.
And that's why they went through on away goals.
Yeah.
But yeah...
But it's a bit of a shame that I was getting quite excited to see him. It would have been great to see Messi in the Premier League.
I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, for Newcastle.
Well, Newcastle don't care who smashes them, but...
Well, this is it. If the takeover had gone through, we might have been in for him if we'd have been backed by the Saudi royal family. But alas, we have to be content with free transfers like Jeff Hendrick from Burnley. That's the level we backed him.
I was going to say, but before it did fall through, I was going to see if Newcastle's in to hijack the deal, Craig. But obviously now that Messi's staying in La Liga, there's no chance of that. But I did hear a hijack was on, at some stage.
I honestly wouldn't have, because we would have had unlimited money. So the kind of players I think we would have went for is like Gareth Bale. So Gareth Bale, no one else can afford him. He wants to leave Real Madrid. Real Madrid want him to leave, but his wages are too expensive. No one can afford him. But that would have been the signing that Saudis could have done. And so yeah, it's a bit of a, because for a few weeks we did dream that it might happen, but alas,
you could have gotten all the La Liga rejects. Get Rakitic, get Suarez, Messi, but Gareth Bale, loving it. Just make sure you got you got some nice golf courses in Tyneside, or
no, there is. You always see Alan Shearer on Instagram posting in the golf courses like up in Newcastle and Northumberland. So
Bale's
been well accepted.
He'll be a happy chap. He's actually been had some interview. He was saying that Real Madrid kept basically, he was looking to get a move, but Real Madrid kept getting in the way. So he's like, well, all right, if you want to get in the way, then I'll just chill here and play golf and score some super goals when you need me to.
Collecting 500 million a week or whatever he's on.
It's not.
It's probably not that. It's 500,000. I don't know.
But he's performed every time he comes on as well. So it's just a luxury that you'd love to have, wouldn't you? You know how a lot of those players, they'll get into those cameo appearances, and they just won't perform. Like Sanchez at Manchester United, apparently. That was another one. Apparently Sanchez at Manchester United, who's made the full switch to Inter now. He he said in some interview that when he signed for Manchester United, after like a week or something like that, he thought, what have I done? Can I sign back for Arsenal?
It was apparently from what
he wanted to go straight back.
Yeah, from what I read, it was after the first training session. He regretted his move instantly.
Yes,
it's just terrible.
That's unbelievable to hear that. I mean, the truth always comes out once they leave the club. Like Dejan Lovren before, and now Sanchez here. But it's quite a funny situation. And Bayern Munich though is sort of getting torn apart a bit as well. But a few of their players are leaving. But the transfers of interest now. Moving into the Premier League, unless Cos, you've got something else to add
I'm pretty good.
Barcelona situation, or
I thought that was covered pretty well.
So moving into the Premier League now, we're obviously getting into a new season. This is a weird season. Some people look at it as not a break and then a new season, but rather effectively a break in the season and a continuation of what happened at the end of last season.
It's the phony war
because it feels like that.
Yep.
We've got, we're trying to put markers on where everyone's going to be because, especially going off the end of last season, it was just such a mess that you couldn't really tell who was going in what direction and what not, and especially with Arsenal finishing in 8th with a very patchy form, but winning 2 trophies since then, if you can call the Community Shield a trophy. They won the FA Cup final, and then the Community Shield. I think it was within the same week, almost, or 2 weeks, or something like that.
Yeah,
so they're not far.
They're on a roll, man. The fans are up and about. I've never seen.
Well, they've got a bit of steel to them.
I've never seen Arsenal fan TV so happy. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Well. I mean, I've seen them happy, but they were angry.
No, not this happy.
But now they're happy and actually happy. Yeah. So that's a new thing for Arsenal fan TV.
And how Arteta has somehow managed to make David Luiz and Mustafi look like actual defenders rather than
full credit to him for backing.
Stages.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Continue, Craig.
No. I was just going to say because there was a spell. Mustafi was. Yeah, he was in incredibly poor form when he had that run in the side. But David Luiz towards the end of the season, there was one game I can't remember it exactly, but I think he gave away he might have given away 2 goals and then got sent off, and he was just having an absolute nightmare.
Oh, David Luiz,
And-
yeah, I think that was against Chelsea or some or I can't remember who it was. But yeah, no, I do recall.
Yeah.
I think he for a second I was going to say Liverpool, but no, they beat Liverpool. Yeah, he had a shocker that game, and then yeah, they looked like everyone was saying if they'll be very surprised if David Luiz plays another game for Arsenal, and then he signed a contract extension. So
I know, it's
full
incredible.
credit to Arteta for backing his play, knowing not listening to the
he's proving to be an inspired choice by Arsenal. So yeah.
And is it right that Ceballos has
Yes.
he's gone back on
Yeah.
loan
He's
again?
extended the loan, so he's still on loan, but he's still at Arsenal now. So he's enjoyed his time there, and Real Madrid's happy for him to spend another season there.
Yep. So he'll remain at Arsenal for another season.
Typical Arsenal fashion, getting a loan in and trying to save a bit of money. I'm not sure when they're going to start spending money again, but I haven't really seen them bust the bank, have they?
No, not yet. I haven't actually. Yeah.
Like at all. Like I'm not even talking about this season, last season, but just at all. Like I haven't seen them there.
Well, they live within their means. Like,
and they've actually got a trophy to go. You know, plenty of FA Cups. They're the FA Cup kings. So.
But the main thing, and I don't know if it's been announced yet, but if Aubameyang is staying, that's clearly the best sign they could
absolutely.
make, even if it's just. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, so a big big potential there with Arsenal, and with the other teams. Obviously, Manchester City have splashed out a bit of money as well. Off the top of my head, I know they got Nathan Ake from Bournemouth.
Yeah, that was
used to be at Chelsea, and now he's at Manchester City. So another Chelsea legend going to Manchester City, after in the steps of Frank Lampard. And what was I going to say? Obviously they're going to be one of the top teams next season, most likely top 2. Possibly champions by 20 points, as the last few seasons. It's just sort of like you either win it easily, or it's neck and neck, 97 points all the way to the end. But the other, obviously there's Liverpool as well, and Liverpool have not made basically any signs. They've signed a left back, Tsimikas, to, I assume, play as a backup left back, or potentially as a. I'm not sure how else he'll fit into the team, but to give Robertson a bit of a rest, because Robertson was obviously very heavily relied upon. Alexander-Arnold as well. I think they've got backups for both of them now. A bit of youth coming through though from Liverpool. They're trying to save through the academy, and some of the players look interesting, and obviously. The signings that they've made in the past have not all gone on to feature heavily. They've sort of been slowly integrated into the team. Fabinho, I think, didn't even start a game until halfway through the season when he was first signed. I think Van Dijk's the only one who's really just slotted straight into the team and gone, "Yep, okay, you're in their starting 11." that's just how it's going to be. And Alisson, obviously, but. They seem to still have the core that got them so many points in the last couple of seasons without spending money. So there's a lot of doom and gloom fans saying, "Oh no signings. What's going to happen? We're going to get demolished this season, etc." And then the other people that are saying that they're being astute, but I think.
Do you think any of the Premier League defences are now be wise to, because Klopp pretty much plays that front three every game? Do you think that there's a chance that the other sort of Premier League teams might work them out, having seen that for a couple of years now, and know what's going to be coming at them?
Well, it's funny you say that, Craig, because they've actually every season, or at least the last 3 seasons, they've played differently. And they've progressed into a more balanced team, and last season their front three had, I think, their worst hauls, possibly like since Salah came to the club. With Salah having his first season where he scored less than 20 goals. Mane just a goal less, and Firmino didn't even get into double figures. He only had 9 goals. But they were getting a lot of goals from the likes. I mean, Van Dijk scored 5. Henderson, I think, scored 3 or 4. Alexander-Arnold scored 4. Robertson scored 2. I mean, that's not something you see every day. I think one of them was a header, so a guy like that. And they're getting a lot of goals from midfield and other players. And in fact, Van Dijk was the 4th highest goal scorer with his 5 goals after the front three. So they have actually been passing around. And Minamino, who signed halfway through the season last season, seems to be finding his feet. He's been playing in the pre-season games just near the end of last season as well, and it looks like Klopp's been looking to add another dimension to Liverpool's attack, and he's been addressing that the need for variety, and I think it's a constant process though. So it's definitely last season they weren't as reliant on the front three to just go in there and just smash through teams. Like they were much better, you could say, the season before that, and then last season they were a lot more wasteful, that's for sure. And there was a lot more coming through the midfield though. So I think it's definitely being addressed, to answer your question. And I don't think they'll have issues with it this season. The only problem I can see is if I know there's talk about Sadio Mane leaving, but I don't think that's coming to pass. It's hard to say. Talk of Gini Wijnaldum leaving, that's not come to pass either, but it's hard to say what's going to happen there. I think if they just get disrupted a bit too much in that sense, because Klopp likes to have his team really, the team settled, and the transfer window sort of goes into a month into the league, I think, this season, plus the EFL transfers that they can do a bit later on, for a couple of weeks after the transfer period closes. Klopp likes to have his team sorted out really early in pre-season, and since there's basically no pre-season this season, it might be a bit of a momentum issue. But other than that, I don't see why they wouldn't be at least in the top 2 this season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does with like whether Origi goes and he brings in like Ryan Brewster,
that's another one.
Gives him more of a chance.
Yeah. Ryan Brewster's also been coming up the ranks. Obviously, Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones. You guys probably have no idea who I'm talking about, but young kids coming through. Ryan Brewster's just sort of like a complete poacher, sort of like a I don't know. You can think of him as sort of like a Danny Ings. So not a bad player to have around. Just an out-and-out goal scorer. Harvey Elliott is just sort of this young, to be honest, quite arrogant in a good way winger, who just sort of doesn't seem to set any limits for himself. And Curtis Jones fancies himself as well. So they got all these players that people don't really hear too much about. Pushing for these spots. Divock Origi has been playing in pre-seasons in the friendlies, so looks like he's probably sticking around. But there's rumours going around, and that might destabilise the team a bit. But I think it's not really going to settle until the transfer window closes. Even though the season does start in a couple of days, isn't it? It's this weekend.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
So it's very soon. But I mean, I still think this season's going to be Manchester City and Liverpool. I don't know if either of you two think anybody's going to push up and challenge the two teams.
Well, it's just whether it's because you'll be able to chip it on this, but like Chelsea have made a lot of fantastic signings, but often you see with teams who bring in new signings, you expect them to hit the ground running and be like. I always remember when Nicolas Pepe came in to Arsenal, I thought, oh man, he's going to be brilliant. And he started really slow, and it does take a long time for some players to for every Virgil van Dijk who just slots in immediately, you get like a Naby Keita who might take a season to bed.
Naby Keita's another one.
That's you're exactly right, Craig, because some of these players, especially from foreign countries that come into the Premier League for the first time, because they've signed Timo Werner, Kai Havertz from Germany, and they've got Thiago Silva from PSG as well, just to name a few. There's really no telling how quick they're going to adapt to the Premier League and to their new team and the way Chelsea play. So it could go either one or two ways. They could really improve and potentially challenge City and Liverpool, or they could just sort of not improve at all and just sort of finish in that top 4 position that there's no real sort of gain. So it'll be interesting to see. But the potential for Chelsea is very high, obviously. But it could go the other way as well. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one. But I do think teams such as Manchester United, because they've signed Donny van der Beek from Ajax as well, I think that team's going to improve on last season a fair bit again. I'm expecting them to improve, but in terms of actually challenging the top 2 over 38 games, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they might stick around for a bit longer, but at the end of the day, it's out of those 2 for me. It's very tough.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like the jump from sort of the chase and pack to where Liverpool and Man City are is massive. Yeah. And although I think Man United, some of the players that they've got, like Bruno Fernandes, Martial, Greenwood, Rashford, they've got some phenomenal players. But however, they're always going to be held back by Solskjaer, who is a 2-bomb manager. He is only good as Solskjaer should not be managing Manchester United, and so they're never really going to be too much of a threat while he's in charge, and they get someone who actually knows what they're doing.
Ouch. I actually I'm actually very what's the word? I think highly of Solskjaer. Not because he's necessarily done wonders or anything like that, but I feel like
because he healed people at the hospital.
He's developing himself as well as a manager. I think he's improving as you know, in each season that he's been at Manchester United, because he is a young manager. He hasn't been in management for too long, so it does take a little bit of time. And I feel like he's definitely got the club moving in the exact right direction. I think this season will show whether or not he does in fact have a glass ceiling. Like you say, Craig, he hasn't quite shown he's at the top level yet, but I feel like in the big games he tends to get the players going, and they seem to do well. I think it's more in the games against the weaker teams that they struggle. But with Pogba coming back, I feel like that might actually that might even change. For this, I mean, they probably missed Lukaku, who was a flat track bully, but sometimes that's what you need. Some guy who can just smash through the weaker clubs and get those goals and push players away. But I feel like Pogba, it's going to sound like a bit of a cliche, but he'll be like a new signing. Playing with Fernandes especially. Well, they were starting to see a bit of a partnership happening near the end.
They started to form something good. I mean, because Pogba obviously had a very interrupted season with injury, so if they can get him on the park playing consistently and improving with Fernandes, and then when you've got players like Martial, Rashford up front as well, it's a pretty dangerous combination. So they're going to be pretty good, Man United, this season.
And one other thing I wanted to note that I found that players coming in from Germany and the Netherlands tend to adapt quite well to the Premier League, with Chelsea getting all the couple Germans and Manchester United signing Van der Beek. And it might be worth noting that Van der Beek won the most penalties in the Eredivisie in the last 2 seasons. So Bruno Fernandes
is
just rubbing his hands together, getting ready for a prolific season.
I've never heard of a man that specialises in winning penalties, but I guess he's found his.
Well, not specialiser. He just happens to be the one that's won the most.
I'm going to run with specialised. So he's found his niche. He's found his niche.
I have to say though, for all the talk of Manchester United winning all the penalties and the refs favour them and stuff like that,
it's pretty
funny. They have players who genuinely get hacked in the box all the time. I mean, Martial's a tricky player, a very tricky player. Rashford, another one that just has a habit. He'll get into the right areas and make players make stupid tackles, and they've been hacked in the box and winning genuine penalties. It's not been that they're winning this dodgy penalty where like it skimmed off the fingernail of the defender, and after going to VAR and looking at it for 15 minutes, then they finally give the penalty. They've been clear cut just hacks in the box. And I mean, I shouldn't be saying this as a Liverpool fan, but I quite like the direction that Manchester United's going for their sake, not.
Yeah, you like them for now until they beat you. Then you're going to be.
Yeah, well, look, the gap's big enough that I can like them for now.
Yeah.
Once the gap gets a bit smaller, then I can probably start hating them again. But I guess that's what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
And while generally I do agree that most people coming from the Bundesliga do seem to adapt well in the Premier League, you do get the odd exception, such as Joe Linton.
Look, to be fair, he's been put in a very difficult box. I mean, he didn't score that many goals at Hoffenheim in the first place, and then he went to Newcastle where there is absolutely zero supply from midfield.
And often about 25% possession if he's looking.
Yeah, I mean they have the lowest I think percentage in the league in terms of possession. But near the end of the season, they started to ramp it up a bit, didn't they? They went a bit gung ho. Not that it worked well, because I think they lost every game after that. But
no, it's true. But it was our uptick in form. I'm not bagging out Joe Linton here, but Dwight Gale came in and started.
But Joe Linton stopped playing
up front, and Joe Linton went out on the wing, and Dwight Gale is actually a proper centre forward, so he actually knew where he should be.
Well, when you say Joe Linton was out on the wing, do you mean how wide was he on the wing? Was he so wide that he was sitting on the bench? Or
well, that would you could probably say that might be the best place for him. But he plays sort of like left of the forward line. So
like Coutinho at Liverpool back in the day. Before,
like a very very poor man's version of Coutinho.
Before Salah came and pushed Mane there.
Yeah. But can I just quickly raise a point? I'd be very interested to hear Coz's views on Leeds' recent acquisitions, in particularly Rodrigo.
Look, I've seen Leeds have made two good signings, I think. Obviously, Robin Koch just recently from Freiburg has signed for Leeds as a central defender, and we needed someone to replace Ben White because he's going to stay at Brighton, unfortunately. So I think that's a pretty good signing. But Rodrigo.
Yeah, good signing.
Look, I've got to confess, I haven't seen much of him. I mean, he's come from Valencia in the Spanish league, but apparently he's very good at linking up with other teammates, and he's not a bad striker as well. I saw him play for Spain in the Nations League, so he's an international striker. So and working with Bielsa as well, he should fit right in with how he plays and the style that Leeds plays. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty astute signing by us. I mean, it's going to be tough. We've just come into the Premier League, so we did need a striker as well. Patrick Bamford does need some competition in that position. So I'm pretty happy with what Leeds are doing so far.
But what a statement of intent to just go to like a team like Valencia and pay multi-millions to bring in like a full Spanish international.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely...
Isn't that like a shout out to old times, Cos? Paying multi-millions to sign players to move up the table?
Oh, thank you, Mike. But it is actually, now that you've said it like that, I was going to say this proudly, Well, I was about to say.
Not with your head in shame and sweat running down your brow.
I was about to say this proudly, but now since you said that, I'm kind of concerned. Leeds did just break their transfer record to sign to sign Rodrigo. So I was going to say that
to
proudly,
be fair,
and now I'm like, maybe
that's a 16-year-old transfer record.
Yeah,
so.
it is, but it's a little bit of a concern. But I'm pretty happy with what Leeds have done in the transfer market. I was just going to ask you, Craig, before we went on to Leeds, but that's all right. Callum Wilson at Newcastle. What are your thoughts?
Oh no, I'm absolutely delighted. So we were chatting before about the failed takeover. So there were a few dark days for the Newcastle fans after having built the hopes up and thinking we were going to be signing Gareth Bale and Mbappe and players like that. And then the only until a week ago the only people we'd bought in were Jeff Hendrick from Burnley on a free transfer, and then the reserve goalkeeper from Motherwell. So that's how it was looking. and we'd pretty much, and then we've got a lot of injuries. Dubravka, one of our best players, is injured for a few months. Dwight Gale's out with a serious injury. So it was looking pretty bleak, but we did what typical Newcastle style do.
The fans are turning on the banner. What do we do? Buy some players.
we raid the relegated teams. So yes, in quick succession, we've had Ryan Fraser, who is a really good winger, who was out of contract, and yet we've managed to pick him up on a free transfer. Callum Wilson, also from Bournemouth, and the thing about Callum Wilson is he's England international, proven striker, can do it in the Premier League. Didn't have his best season last year, but that was because Bournemouth were just generally had a bit of an off year. But he's 28 years old, and usually Newcastle wouldn't, under Mike Ashley, don't go for players or don't play big bucks for players who were above 25. And there was a couple of seasons ago, which Newcastle fans are still quite bitter about, when Rafa wanted to permanently sign Salomon Rondon, and he was like a similar age, 28, 29, and Mike Ashley wouldn't sign off on him because it didn't fit this policy of buying young players in to sell on. But we've actually got with Callum Wilson, we've got a player who is hopefully in his peak years.
Yeah.
He signed him on a 4-year contract. He's a proven striker. He knows where to be, unlike Joe Linton, and hopefully he's going to score a few goals. And when we've got players around him, we've got like Almiron, Alan Saint-Maximin, Ryan Fraser.
Interesting wingers you got there, I have to say.
Yeah, and the other signing we just, I think, happened yesterday or this morning was Jamal Lewis from Norwich, and that was important for us.
Another relegation poach.
Another relegated team, but the critical thing about him is he's a left back, and Newcastle have needed a left back for about 10 years. I am not exaggerating, because we have. I think the last
since Jose Enrique, right?
I think it was either Jose Enrique or David Santon when they left a long time ago.
David Santon, the Italian left back.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Wow. He was a great player. He's married. He's actually married. I think he still lives in Newcastle. He's definitely married to a Newcastle lady. Anyway.
Okay.
But Jamal Lewis. He is our first left back in a long time. We've had Paul Dummett, who was a centre back, which we converted into a left back because he has a left foot. But he's not left back.
He has a left foot. Not that he's left footed. He just has a left foot.
but he can't run. He's sort of when he's running, it's like he's running on quicksand. He's just so slow.
I'm just picturing.
We're delighted to.
Sorry, I'm just picturing the Newcastle scouting group going over to basically over 40s games and watching sort of senior players and we should pick him up. He looks like he could do a job for us. Probably be nice and cheap.
I wouldn't, honestly. Nothing would surprise me. But actually, this Newcastle making these signings has surprised everyone. Because they're actually quite astute signings and make some sense, but which often it doesn't make any sense with Newcastle involved. And it's also pleasing that Ryan Fraser and Callum Wilson, when they were at Bournemouth, he had quite an effective partnership with Ryan Fraser. Not last season, but the season before. There was he had a load of assists. And Callum Wilson was generally knocking them away. So yeah, it's having a week ago I could not have given stuff about this upcoming season, and now I'm quite excited. Now I'm quite excited again, being the fickle Newcastle fan I am.
I don't want to put a cloud on this whole thing, but isn't this a very typical play by Mike Ashley, where basically, the fans are all up and excited about the next season because something's about to happen. In this case, it was the takeover, right? So that's the first event. Then the event gets like somehow just horribly taken away from them, just snatched from underneath them, just like a rug pulled underneath them. So that was when the takeover fell down. And then there's just this like clear this sense that the club wants to revolt, and that the people want to go to his office and just break, like throw chairs through the windows and just destroy the place. That's stage 3. And then stage 4 is some sort of signings which create a new sense of optimism. And then something happens. I mean, last season it was Steve Bruce was the disappointment because Rafa Benitez like fell away. Everyone was sort of like about to riot, but then I don't know, Steve Bruce I think sort of fluked a quick start to the season, and it was almost forgotten.
Steve Bruce got it together for Newcastle, really got things working, even though that now infamous quote when he was, I think he was comparing his style to Rafa Benitez when he said that, oh look, I just don't do tactics. I don't understand. I'm paraphrasing, but he said something along the lines of, I don't do tactics. Yeah, I don't understand how it works. Just keep it simple. It's just amazing.
God.
That
makes my skin crawl.
Last season, when having lost Rafa Benitez, having lost all our hope, and then it started really bad. I think we got beat. I think we got comfortably beaten off Norwich. One of Norwich's only couple of wins that they had all season.
Yeah, I think it was their second game of the season. They beat you 4-1, I think.
Yeah, that's right. And then I was doing the marathon in Warsaw, and I did the marathon. I was high on endorphins, and I found an Irish bar in the old town, and I thought, great, Newcastle are playing Leicester, and I was like, right, I'm going to have a couple of pints of Tisky, I might guess. I want to have a good time. I was by myself because Vieta wasn't there, and then Newcastle got beat 5-0, and that was a particularly low. That was a particularly low moment and a bit of a dampener on a generally good weekend, having been over and visiting Warsaw and having done a marathon. But yeah, the 5-0 defeat to Leicester was particularly hard to bear. But to be fair to him, we picked it up and we stayed up quite comfortably in the end.
All right, so looking at the setup in that case, we've got the new teams come in: Leeds, West Brom, Fulham. I think all three of us would probably expect Leeds to do the best of those three. Maybe making a few assumptions there, and then you got the rest. You got Southampton, Burnley, Villa, Brighton, West Ham, Crystal Palace, and of course Newcastle. I'm not including the teams at the top, and I'll go back to them, and also Sheffield. We don't know what's going to happen with them. We don't know if they're going to continue from last season or if they're going to fall away. How do you feel about your chances of staying up this season, Craig?
Again, if you'd asked me a week ago, I would have said, we're looking pretty dead certs to go down.
I think you, in fact, did say you're going to get relegated. You sent me a message saying but you're probably going to get relegated this season.
But I do think, and I am being slightly fickle, but not completely fickle. But after these signings, I do think there is a little bit of hope for optimism now, because we've got. I think the defence is pretty strong with Jamal Lascelles and Fernandez, and we've got Fabian Shah, and we've got a left back now. Right back, we still don't properly have. It'll probably be Manquillo, because Emil Kraft's pretty terrible, even though he's a Swedish international. Midfield, I think we're all right. But yeah, I think the major worry for Newcastle is that Dubravka, you cannot understate how important he was for us. And as much as Karl Darlow is not a bad reserve keeper, it's from just Motherwell. Like, no, he's the Motherwell keeper. Oh, what's his name? Is it Gillespie? I can't even remember his name. But Karl Darlow is our long-time reserve keeper, and then there's the Motherwell guy who is now going to be his understudy. But you never know, like if he could usurp Karl Darlow. But it's just the same. It's like having Claudio Bravo replacing Edison or something like that.
Adrian replacing Alisson. Yeah, it's
exactly. It's
not going to be quite.
Dubravka is so important to Newcastle, so I think it depends on how quickly he gets back. And we also, at the moment, we still got a very threadbare squad. Andy Carroll is fit at the moment, but he's made out of glass, so he's probably going to get injured again. Dwight Gale is out injured, and then we have no. And if Callum Wilson, touch wood,
if he starts banging,
if he got injured, we'd be stuffed. We'd be. So it could quite easily unravel. But I think at the moment I'm going to be positive, and I think we'll be. We'll not be top 10, but I think we'll be like
challenging top 10.
If I was Newcastle, I'd be quietly optimistic, but realising that there are a few risks involved. But it's probably the same with any of those clubs in that sort of bracket of the table as well.
Just a note on Andy Carroll. Yeah. Do you know any other player who's both made of glass and lead at the same time? Because he is just
Andy Carroll is. Oh, he is. When you say he just cannot run. But he didn't score. He didn't score all last season, and we certainly did in the Premier League. But he did actually.
He got a lot of assists.
He got a lot of assists, and he made some very useful cameos. And he is one of the best. I would say probably one of the best in the air in the whole Premier League. Well, he is an absolute beast.
When he's in form, so when he's playing well and in form, he is very good. He's just his body just lets him down.
His body lets him down. I think he's got like a dodgy ankle. I think that's the main problem he's got, probably along with a multitude of other injuries. But
not a drinking problem or anything like that.
Oh no, I think he used to be a bit wild, and he's youth, but I don't think
he's under control now.
I think he's too bad. But yeah, if you need to change up the game with 10 minutes to go and lump it in the box, Andy Carroll's he's not a bad option to have off the bench.
Yeah.
All right, so we don't have enough time to go through all the clubs, but before we wrap up, I did want to go through a couple more. Tottenham this season. I think it's fair to say that there's a big question mark over them. What's going to happen there? This is again, I think, a bit like Manchester United, where you sort of go, okay, Mourinho, what you got? And this will really be the moment to find out whether or not he is going to turn them around and sort of take the next step with them, or
they just seem like they're going to remain stagnant because they still seem very.
Or get worse.
Or potentially, because they seem reliant on Harry Kane still. And as far as signings go, I don't think they've done anything quite significant to really say that they're going to push up into the top four and really improve. So,
it just shows with I think they bought Joe Hart, and like
yes, they did. They did sign Joe Hart.
Yeah,
Yes, So Joe Hart is one of like the old style keepers who certainly cannot play that sweeper role, and which is why he's had a bit of a fall from grace, because Guardiola saw that pretty much immediately and had him chopped out straight away. But and then he's been doing the rounds. He's been at Burnley, I think, most recently. But yeah, it's hardly inspiring.
Yeah,
I just wanted to note on when he was drafted out of the team by Pep Guardiola. It was so. I mean, like, before Pep got there, he was just the number one keeper. There was no, he was the England keeper. He was just slot in right in there. But as soon as he got in there, he basically shafted him out like, I don't know, 8 games into the season or something like that. Look, I just can't have guy that can't play football in goals. Like it doesn't suit my
it's
team.
so-
Like I can't
it's
do
so
it. Like,
foreign to him, yeah.
everyone on my team has to be able to play. A midfield playmaker. That's just how we play.
That's basically it.
The other team, the opposite of Tottenham, effectively, Carlo Ancelotti's Everton. Has anyone kept tabs on the signings going on there?
Well,
what is going on?
well,
I feel like there's a push there.
They're signing some big names. Alan, this Brazilian midfielder, sort of like a holding midfielder named Alan, who's a big name in Serie A. He's come from Napoli to Everton, and he's a key player for Napoli as well in that midfield.
Yeah, that was very surprising. But I guess
James Rodriguez. Now everyone knows him from the World Cup, from Real Madrid. He's signed for Everton, not a loan deal. This is a signing. So there's some real intent here for Everton that they're saying, no, we want to push up into the top echelons of the league and really start challenging for not the Premier League, but for maybe Champions League positions or at least consistent European positions. So, it's like a real sign of intent. Yeah, it is. They're trying to send a message or just improve their club. But again, with Everton, and this is what's happened with them, like in previous seasons, they make a lot of signings and they just don't seem to gel. They take like half the season to start gelling, and by then it's too late to actually finish in a high position. So.
But these signings seem to be quite surgical.
But yeah, what I've noticed is that they've made less signings, and they've made good signings. So they might actually do some damage this season, Everton. We'll see.
Yeah, they're definitely going to. Although people might have noticed it, it's obviously always a lot harder to sort of break in if teams have their eye on you. It's a lot easier to get in unnoticed, like Leicester last season and when they won the league. But Craig, do you got anything to say about Everton's hopes this season?
No, I do rate Ancelotti as a manager, but I don't know. They always sort of like a bit. Everton always remind me of like West Ham, where they splash a lot of money around, but there doesn't generally seem to be any real purpose, and they might have a little flurry, but then generally they under deliver and sort of disappoint. So I don't know. I do think it was a bit of a mixed bag with when Ancelotti took over last season, but I do think he's an excellent manager. It's just I don't know. He's working. He hasn't got the greatest bunch of players, and I don't know. I don't think there'll be trouble, and I don't think that if we're looking for sort of unexpected surprises, people who might look for them Europa League positions, I don't think Everton are going to be challenging for them, I'm afraid.
That's interesting, because I actually think they've got a very good squad. I think that they're just sort of missing that final push, that belief, that they could actually challenge at a high level. And the thing that actually gets me about these signings, more than the actual players themselves, is how Ancelotti must have sold the project to these players to get them to come. Like that's what gets me, because the players that Everton have signed, right? They signed Luca Digne, Richarlison, Theo Walcott, who was sort of essentially an Arsenal reject by the time he got signed, and he's sort of playing as a squad player. But Alan from Napoli, Napoli, I know they've sort of fallen away last season, and now that they're out of the Champions League spots, it could be real trouble for their future.
Yeah,
and James Rodriguez from Real Madrid. I mean, what to me, the fact that they have come to Everton means that they must believe in whatever project they're doing there. They must be excited by the project.
I also believe Ancelotti's a huge draw card as well.
He did manage them both. In fact, he managed James Rodriguez both at Real Madrid and at Bayern.
Yeah, that's right. So him by himself is a huge draw card, and he was at Napoli managing Alan. So yeah.
Yeah, apologies. I didn't realise that I haven't really. I've been too focused on Newcastle recently. I hadn't realised that they'd signed James Rodriguez. That's a brilliant signing. But yeah, so I'll still maintain my comments.
Doucouré as well, by the way. Third
I think the London deliver, but I think that is a good signing, and it'd be nice to see them in the Premier League.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if they can make anything of that. I think that's just about a wrap. The Premier League starts, like we said, this weekend. I think the 13th for us.
Yes.
Is it Saturday night?
It's
or is
Saturday
it,
night for us,
Sunday
so
morning?
it's the 12th.
Yep, so we actually do get some early games, which are... The early games, by the way, for those who aren't aware...
9:30 p.m.
What is it, 10:30?
9:30.
9:30?
Yeah, it's very early for us. That is really early. We're talking...
That is very
That's as early as it gets for us.
The game starts before bedtime. Like that's nuts. That's insane. I can't believe how lucky we are. But
I did want to do one thing before we wrap up. Just a quick
of course.
Just a quick prediction. Who do you guys reckon are going to be the champions, and who's going to get relegated? Let's do some fun predictions.
That's absolutely not fun for me.
Yeah, I know.
I can't do it.
You don't have to be right, Mike.
You
All right,
know how I think.
I'll go first. I'll go first while you think about it, Michael. Right, I'll say champions. Oh, it'll be a close run race, and I still think, I don't know if Man City are going to be making any more signings, but I think just given the way that Man City finished last season, where they were demolishing everyone, I think they'll really come out wanting this a hell of a lot. They'll still be wanting the Champions League, but I'm going to go Man City as champions. Relegation, I will go... hopefully not Newcastle, but I'd probably say West Brom, because they'll probably go down. West Brom, I think Fulham will probably go back down, and I'll throw a wild card in there.
I'll throw some names at you: Southampton, Burnley, Villa, Newcastle, Brighton, West Ham, Crystal Palace.
I'm just going to go, because there's such a basket case and it'll
Sheffield.
probably not happen. I'm going to go West Ham.
Oh, yeah. You want them to go down.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to put Liverpool down to take the title, not to get relegated. And to get relegated, it is. I don't know. Fulham feels like a default option. I'm sure they're going to surprise everyone and do really well this season. I think Villa should be able to keep going. Brighton, for losing Aaron Moy, I think they're going to go down. I don't actually think they're going to go down, but now I want them to go down. And Crystal Palace, I'm sick of them. It's just they're always sort of threatening to possibly do something decent. And I know Roy Hodgson will basically never get a team relegated unless they're Liverpool. But Crystal Palace... I don't know. It's going to be really tough with the relegation.
Yeah,
it's just going to be the team that slips up the most, because
it's impossible to predict.
Or the newly promoted teams.
It's impossible to predict. For me, I'm going to say I'm going to put Man City just for the champions. I just think that they're going to bounce back. Laporte should be fit, and they've got RK now. They had the defensive issues which seem to be sorted out, so... But, Liverpool's an incredible team as well, so it's going to go to the end. In terms of relegation, I'm probably going to say West Brom. I'm going to say Brighton as well. I agree with what you've said, Mike, about that.
Oh, yes.
So two for Brighton. But I think Fulham will actually stay up. I'm going to say Villa. Because I don't know who they've signed.
Good choice.
I don't know who they've signed, and... They really struggled last season. They survived on the last day, so I don't think they've improved much. So I'm going to say Villa.
In my head, I've got Villa as improving this season for no particular reason.
Yeah.
I just, in my head, that's just what I feel is going to happen.
I mean, look,
but they were definitely on my mind as well.
Sheffield's obviously a team that could go down, but I think they've kept most of their squad, and the way they play, they just don't concede many goals. So I don't think they'll go down based on that defence. But yeah,
I think mentally they've got what it takes to stay up. So
I think they'll stay up, but I don't think they'll have anywhere near.
No.
It's a lot harder the second
agree
season. I think they'll be the bottom half.
yeah.
They'll probably stay up with less vigor than they did last season. All right, in that case, we'll make that a wrap. So thanks for coming down, Craig. Thanks for joining us in this remote start to the season.
No, thanks very much for having me, and then hopefully Dan Andrews lets us out at some stage just so we can do one of these in person again.
Make it sound like he's got us in a cage, which he does metaphorically.
Seriously, if any international people are listening to us, we are locked in our homes. Send help. Send the army, send help. Seriously,
please.
Send the US Navy SEALs. All right, thanks as well, Cos.
No problem.
We'll be back next week after the first week of Premier League fixtures, and we'll see how the season starts. But until then, thanks for listening. Check out our YouTube page, YouTube channel if you haven't seen it already. We've got a new video out there, and all the older podcast episodes are on there as well. So thank you all for listening, and we'll speak to you next time.
Talk to you then.